The following is one in a series of informational videos focused on assisting brooder units who are producing or plan to produce dual-purpose birds. A brooder unit, also known as a mother unit, purchases day-old chicks and feed from a hatchery and raises them to 28 to 35 days of age. The chicks have been fully vaccinated by this age, and the brooder unit then sells the birds to smallholder farmers so they may produce eggs and meat for home consumption or sale. A dual-purpose bird is one which produces more eggs and grows faster than the traditional village chicken. Yet the bird's plumage looks the same as the local breeds. There is an old saying that goes, "You cannot manage what you do not measure." Management is not just keeping numbers on issues like mortality, feed, consumption, and sale prices, but on your observations of chick behavior as well. Why is it important to keep written records? And what can you learn by taking the time to watch the birds and see how they act? This video will address both and not only make you a better manager, but a more profitable producer as well. To assist you, the World Poultry Foundation website does have simple record-keeping sheets and a profit and loss statement. Making and keeping record sheets is easy, and they should be kept within easy reach as you will need to make daily notations. Let's begin by looking at what production records to maintain and why. Records are a crucial tool in managing and evaluating the business, as well as monitoring the health of each flock of bird you raise and sell. Records need to be reliable and relevant. Records allow you to determine how well a current flock is progressing as compared to prior flocks. The data collected will help determine, for example, if the current flock has a higher or lower mortality than prior flocks, and provide some indication as to why. In short, records help you manage your flock effectively, which could reduce the chances of error and increase your chances of success. As a brooder unit, there are both daily and weekly records which should be kept. In fact, your record keeping begins prior to your chicks even arriving on the farm. When chicks are ordered, it is helpful to maintain a record of the date the day-old chicks were ordered, how many, from which hatchery, at what price, and primary contact and phone number of the hatchery representative should you have questions or concerns. This document should be compared to what is received on the date of delivery. Upon delivery, check and record the number of chicks delivered against the number ordered. Determine the mortality count or the dead on arrival and how many chicks have defects and may need to be culled. This provides an accurate count of birds placed. The reason to keep such records is to assure the number of chicks ordered equates to the number of healthy chicks received. Once the chicks are placed in the brooding chamber, begin keeping production records on mortality, reason for mortality if known, house temperatures, water usage, and average bird weight gain. On day of delivery, weigh a sampling of the chicks. This will provide a baseline of growth. For example, take a plastic bucket with a small amount of bedding in the bottom and weigh the bucket and bedding. Add 10 chicks to the bucket and weigh again. The difference between the two weights divided by the number of chicks will provide you the average chick weight. To get an accurate account to this several times, with a minimum of 10 chicks each time, with different chicks from different parts of the house. Now that all the baselines have been recorded, it is time to focus on caring for the chicks and keeping records until the day the last bird in the flock is sold. Daily records are maintained on the following: the number of chicks which have died in the last 24 hours, the reason for mortality if known, temperatures within the poultry house at chick level. The reason such information is collected on a daily basis is to keep a watch on any possible health problems within the flock. A spike in mortality or higher mortality than previous flocks will alert you to a disease or management problem. High mortality shortly after delivery may be a sign of stress during delivery, poor vaccination, or chick quality, or perhaps the chicks are not being kept properly warmed, fed, or watered within the brooding chamber. Remember, the first 14 days of a chick's life is when the bird is most vulnerable. The term flaws helps one remember what needs to be checked on a regular basis. The younger the chicks, the more often they need to be looked after, at least 4 times per day for new chicks. Flaws stand for F is food, L lighting, A for air, water, sanitation or security, and stocking density. Food. Do the birds have enough feed? Are the feeders clean and at the correct height? Lighting. Are the chicks getting too much direct sunlight, not enough light? Adjust the curtains as necessary. Air. Is there good ventilation occurring? Is the poultry house too hot or too cold? Do you smell ammonia, mold, or wet litter? Water and sanitation. Do the birds have enough water? Are the drinkers clean and at the correct height? And are there any leaking or overturned drinkers? Correct any deficiencies. Security and stocking density. Have any birds or rodents gotten into the house? Is the house secure from visitors? Do the chicks have enough space to have access to feed and water without overcrowding? In addition to daily records, keep weekly records on the weight gain of your chickens. Pick one day a week when you will weigh your chickens and record an average weight. Do this the same day each week and record. The reason to keep the above record on a weekly basis is to track the amount of weight gain of the chicks. Any significant differences from prior flocks are indications of a feed or disease problem. Keep records when the following occurs. Vaccination date of your birds. For which disease vaccinated. Cost of vaccination. Batch number and expiry date of vaccine. Any occurred disease. Treatment done and medicine used. Cost of medicine. These records help to keep track of vaccines utilized for what diseases and age of the birds when vaccinated. The cost of any vaccine is a factor in your profit or loss statement. Are you making money being a brooder? The only way to tell is if you are keeping an account of your production expenses of feed, water, day-old chicks purchase price, vaccination costs, mortality, litter, fuel, labor, and any interest on loans compared to the sale price of your brooded chicks. By adding all costs and comparing that number to total sales income will provide you with the profit and loss on that particular flock. So the final record keeping task is to record the following: the date, number, and price of chicks when sold, the date, name, number of birds purchased and by whom, the average size of your buyer to determine if orders may be increasing. Be sure to maintain the contact information for the buyer for marketing and sale of the next flocks. Observations. One aspect of record keeping does not include data collection. It is important that every day you observe how the birds are behaving and take note of any concerns. After entering the house, take a few minutes to just observe the chicks' behavior and take note of the sounds they are making. Chicks should be engaged in one of the following activities: drinking, eating, sleeping, scratching, or playing. First, listen. Are the chicks chirping happily, or are they making loud, alarming chirps that indicate stress? Look to see whether birds are huddled together, indicating they are cold, or panting heavily, indicating they are too hot. If stressed, determine why, correct the problem, and make a note for your records to try and prevent the problem from happening again. What is your nose telling you? As discussed earlier, do you smell ammonia, mold, wet litter? Correct the problem and make a note as to why you think the problem may have occurred. This will remind you to look for the same problem in this and future flocks, and to act proactively to prevent the problem in the first place. Keeping records takes a few minutes each day, but will assist you to become a better and more profitable manager, and your chicks healthier. This task is an important and essential part of brooding and should not be overlooked. It is almost universally true. The poultry farmers who take the time to keep the most complete and detailed records and study those records to compare performance from flock to flock are the most successful and profitable.